Hi greedy 3Ders, love it or hate it, sanding is an inaugural part of 3D printing. Whether you're printing small pieces or whether you're printing full-size droids or full-size models of anything, sanding is something you are going to come across. Let's look today at the various different tools that are available to make that sanding stage, which let's face it can be a bit of a pain in the bottom, a little bit easier to bear. Stay tuned. So first and foremost, we're looking at sandpaper, the basic sheets of paper that have a certain number on the back and a gritty feeling on the front. You've all seen these, of course you have, but what do the numbers mean? Well, the lower the number, for in this case 40, the lower the number, the more gritty it is, the more harsh it is, the more it will take away. You don't want to be using 40 grit sandpaper on something you want to look smooth as silk. The ranges go from 40 right the way up to the thousands. I've got some 2000 grit. You can probably get a little bit higher than that as well. And if you think that the 2000 grit, when you rub it across something when you're finished, will look smooth as silk, and the 40 will look rough as a badger's ass. And that's about where we get with this. The best thing to do with it is to start off with a lower number and work your way up in chunks to a higher number. And it comes in all sorts of different ranges, 40, 60, 140, 180, it goes on and on and on. And the best one that you can use will be depending on what you do. If you've got loads of material to take off, starting with a 40 or a 60 grit will get that off really, really easy. Moving up grits as you go through will make the job a little bit finer and a little bit smoother. And we can talk about filler primer as well, which is something else you're going to need in the process potentially. But sandpaper, basic stuff, cheap as chips. And the good thing with this as well is if it gets a little bit clogged up, throw it away, get a new piece. I'll put some links in the description where you can get a hold of a various few different sizes, but sandpaper, always a good starting point. A notch up from sandpaper, you've got the hobby sander, the mouse sander, the detail sander, whatever you want to call it. And it's basically a vibrating sander with these Velcro attached pads that you can stick on. Again, they come in all sorts of different numbers. You stick it on, you power it up, and you turn it on and you hold it on. Now they vibrate like mad, they make a lot of noise, and the problem with these is if you're printing in PLA and you're sanding PLA with these, you can melt the PLA if you hold it in place too long because it does generate some heat. They are great if you're doing big surfaces, like when I did my Captain America shield to break those gaps up. This was great to just go across it in a 180 grit paper, but again, don't overdo it with this. You're going to melt your PLA if you're not careful. Good for big work, not really any good for little work. For the smaller work, you've got this. This is the handheld. It's a rotary tool, if you like, but we use these for sanding. We can use them for grinding. Lots and lots of reasons behind this. And the good thing with these is, firstly, the speed is controllable. It goes from slow to insane, so if you're using it on something that's very detailed or very delicate, you can slow it down and have a lot of control over it. They're not very good as opposed to if you get it stuck or if you're doing a lot of heavy work with them, then the motor will, you know, you can stop the motor with your fingers really, really easy. Again, that's not really a bad thing sometimes because you don't want to damage your parts, but they can be a little bit troublesome at times. They've got USB charging on them. They come with lots and lots of different attachments. So whether you're sanding, whether you're grinding, you can even do drilling with these. It's definitely worth investing in one of these to get into your nooks and your crannies of your model, especially if you've got little divots of support settings that you just want to grind away and they're in places you can't really get sandpaper into. A little one of these rotary tools is absolutely ideal. It's got multiple, you can polish with them as well if you want to. Again, I'll put some links in the description where you can have a look at these and get hold of these if you want to. And some of them even come with a little light. How cool is that? So you can see what you're doing. The little bits don't last too long. They're a little bit cheap. They're a little bit nasty. Come on, these whole things are about 20 quid to buy. But you know what? It does the job and it's great for a modeller's tool. It's a good thing to have. Now, if you've been watching the channel recently, you'll have seen me using this, the foot sander. Oh, I love this thing. Again, something I only came across in the last few months. Oh my God, how have I missed this? This is great for getting down those big areas fast. It's about a 60 grit paper, and you tend to get an awful lot of these with it, and to replace them is real easy. You just peel that one off, stick another one on, and away you go. They're relatively cheap, around about 30 quid I think. But again, with these, don't put too much pressure on because you can generate heat. They are quite good for torque, so they don't stop very easy. They're actually foot sanders, corn sanders if you like, but they're really good for getting off those real stubborn chunks of PLA, or if you've got some filler on there, just to work that down. Really good, easy, simple, cheap to use, and I'll put a link in the description where you can get hold of one if you really want one. Foot sanders definitely should be called 3D printer sanders. So this is a pen sander. Now, I've not used one of these until quite recently, and I'm not quite sure how these pass me by, because I really love them. What they are is little sanders with different heads, and let me just show you some of the different size heads that you can get with them. And what you do is you take some of the sandpaper that's sticky back, you cut around it, you stick it on there, and when you turn it on, it's got a variable speed on it. You can see what it does. It vibrates up and down really quick, and it goes from the sublime to the ridiculous, as you can see there. These are great for getting into the little nooks and crannies again of your model. And the good thing with this is it literally sands. It'll move backwards and forwards. You can put as much or as little pressure on as you want. Really great bit of kit. As I say, it comes with triangular ends and round ends and all sorts of square and shaped ones, and the paper on them is very smooth. It's not very coarse at all, so great for little models, great for smoothing out those support nubbins. Absolutely great. I'll pop a link in the description where you can get one of these from. Another tool for the toolbox. Next up, a kind of variation on sandpaper. We've got these sander blocks. Now, these are really good in a number of ways. Firstly, you've got something you can hold on to and put some pressure on if you want to. And secondly, changing the paper on them is a simple case of pulling your sandpaper off and velcroing it on. They're cheap as chips. They're around about 10 quid, $10, and for that you get 70 strips of paper with it, and they range from 60 grit, 40 grit, right the way up to 2000 grit. Wonderful for models, great so you can get your hands on there and really grind and rub it down as well. Really good. They don't make a noise because they're not electric, so you don't have to worry about upsetting the neighbours if you want to do a bit of sanding at 3 AM in the morning. Really wonderful. Who would sand at 3 AM in the morning? But you know what I'm saying. Really great bit of kit. Definitely worth getting one of these. It's always worth raiding your wife's nail varnish kit, because she will have some sanding emery boards in there, and they're various grits, various sizes, but they're great for just getting into those little nooks and crannies of your models, and you can do it relatively quietly, and so quietly that she'll never know that you've nicked them. Another little tool for the toolbox. You can also use metallic foils. These are really good to hold. They get into the little spaces you can't get anything else in. I use the Army Painter miniature and model files. I get 3 different variations with these, and they are not only easy to use, but they're really well made, and they've gone on. They're the only ones I've used, to be honest. Great for getting into the little nooks and crannies of the model that you pretty much can't get anything else into, and you can firmly use them. You can hold them easy. They last forever. They're fantastic, cheap as chips, worth getting hold of a couple of these. You never know when you might need something like a metallic foil. Safety is of paramount importance when you're sanding, and sanding resin or sanding PLA will produce particles that you do not want to be breathing into your lungs. Make sure you use respiratory protection when you're doing any kind of sanding. There are lots of different kinds of masks on there. Make sure yours will filter out particulates, bits of sanding you don't want to be getting through into your lungs. Make sure you follow the manufacturer's guidance when it comes to changing the filters in these masks. Do it in a well ventilated area if you can. Use a suction unit if you can, but always wear your respiratory protection when you're sanding. So there we go, that's sanding. Real quick overview of all the different kinds of sanding tools that you can get to make your 3D printing hobby a little bit more bearable. If there's anything I've missed or anything you can think of, let me know, and we'll talk about that in the comments. Hope you've enjoyed what you've seen today. Please subscribe to the channel. Please think about joining the Greedy 3D Patreon, and thank you, Patreons. You guys that you're seeing flash across your screen at the moment, you are fantastic. Thank you for your unwavering ongoing support. Leave me a comment. That's really important. I want to know what you do, how you do it, what you do, what you don't do. What have I missed? What do you use that you use all the time? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time for more 3D printing madness on Greedy 3D.